This video has been compiled by the Safety and Mines Testing and Research Station at Redbank, Queensland, from information and evidence gathered during the investigation carried out by the Queensland Mines Inspectorate into the fatal accident that occurred at Hasminko Sanctuary Mine on 9th of February 2004. It represents the best estimation of the events that occurred and may not be entirely factual. The truck involved in the incident was a Komatsu 630E with the identification number 733 at the mine site. It has an approximate payload of 180 metric tonnes and when fully laden weighs in excess of 300 tonnes. The truck has 6 wheels. Each of the rear wheel assemblies have an electric motor that drives the rear wheels. We now zoom into the rear left of the truck to take a closer look at position 4 and position 3 tyres and rim assemblies. We now strip away tyres and view the rear assembly. The flanges have been coloured green and the bead seat bands have been coloured blue. The Lockrings have been coloured red and the rim bases are coloured yellow. We now remove the rear wheel motor cover and all 12 retaining cleats. When all these components are removed, we are left with the rear hub assembly. The disc brakes can be seen at the extremity of the hub. We can now observe the hub rotating. We will now reassemble the rims. The first sequence shows the back flange being placed over the inside of the position 4 rim base. The position 4 tyre is then placed over the rim base. The outside flange is then placed over the rim base. The bead seat band is placed in position. And finally, the lock ring for position 4 rim base is placed in its gutter. The assembly of position 3 rim components and tyre is a reverse image of the assembly that was shown for position 4. Now we will demonstrate the mounting of the rims and tyres on the rear hub assembly. First, the position 4 tyre and rim assembly are placed onto the rear hub assembly. The spacer that sits between the 2 rims is then put in place. The outer tyre rim and assembly position 3 is then placed onto the assembly. The 12 retaining cleats are then placed onto the wheel studs. 24 retaining nuts are then placed and tightened. And finally, the wheel motor cover is placed onto the rear assembly. We will now examine in more details the rim components. The flanges are coloured green and are a continuous ring. There are 2 flanges for each tyre. The flanges provide support for the base of the tyre in the area of beading. This is rim base position 4. There is 1 bead seat band for each rim base. There is a groove in each of the rim bases. A rubber O-ring is placed in each of these grooves, which prevents air escaping from the rim base. The spacer that sits between the wheels prevents the tyres and rim bases from converging and interfering with each other during operation. The lock rings are a critical part of the assembly. Each lock ring is located within a groove in the rim base known as the gutter. The lock ring is not a continuous ring and has a gap at one side. The lock ring prevents the bead seat band from coming off the rim base when the tyre is inflated. This is rim base position 3. This is the retaining cleat. They are often referred or called wedges. There are 12 cleats on one rear assembly of a Komatsu 630E. There are 2 valve stems. The position 4 tyre valve stem is longer than the position 3 valve stem. Both tyres can be inflated from the outer side of the rear assembly. There are 24 retaining nuts and 24 wheel studs. The electric motor that drives the rear wheels sits inside the hub. These are the discs and calipers for the rear braking system. Finally, the wheel motor cover that is retained in position by clips. When truck 733 arrived at the tyre fitter's workshop at approximately 11 p.m. on the 9th of February 2004, the lock ring in position 4 was mostly out of its gutter. When Richard Wyatt heard a loud bang at approximately 10:52 p.m. while he was driving truck 733, the lock ring from position 3 had dislocated from its gutter in position 3 rim base, allowing the air in position 3 tyre to escape. The stored energy propelled the lock ring with a high degree of force towards the lock ring and rim base in position 4. The lock ring was partially dislocated from its gutter. There was at least 230 millimeters of position 4 lock ring still located in the gutter. Richard Wyatt and Peter Marshall observed the position 3 and position 4 tyre in the workshop at a time approximately after 11:08 p.m. A witness indicated that he saw the lock ring from position 3 sitting on the spacer and position 4 looked normal. Position 4 tyre was still fully inflated. Richard Wyatt indicated that Peter Marshall did not deflate the tyre in position 4 before commencing work on removing position 3 tyre. The position 3 tyre was fully deflated. Truck 733 is driven to the tyre fitter's workshop, arriving at approximately 11:08 p.m. Peter Marshall jacks up the rear left side of truck 733. The tyre is approximately between 75 and 150 millimeters off the ground. The valve stems were at approximately 3 o'clock position, and the gap in the position 4 lock ring is at approximately 7 o'clock position. Peter Marshall commences removing the wheel nuts. He completely removes all the wheel nuts. At the completion of removing all the wheel nuts, the cleats have to be removed. These cleats are wedged tightly in place and have to be forcibly removed. This is achieved by placing a jacking bolt in the hole provided in the centre of the cleat. The jacking bolt pushes the cleat out of its wedge position. Peter Marshall had commenced jacking the first cleat when the lock ring in position 4 rim base completely dislocated from its gutter. The force of the escaping air propelled the rim components and position 3 tyre various distances from the truck. As Peter Marshall jacked the first cleat, the lock ring moved out of its gutter in position 4. A small fragment at the end of the lock ring from position 4 was found in the tyre. It is believed to have fallen into the tyre after components had been propelled from the rear assembly. Peter Marshall was trapped under the rim base face down. Richard Wyatt was actually further away than the animation shows. He was propelled to a position approximately 2 metres to the left of where position 3 Tyre finished.